It's all right. Sports Bet, betting insight today. Pauly and Teddy, SBR picks. I'm at Real Sports Bet on Twitter. He's at Teddy_covers. All the betting news you need to know in less than 20 minutes. Big game breakdown. Jets up to 3.5 and 35.5 against the Falcons. Last year, Quinn and the Falcons went 0-4 straight up in ATS. The move on the Jets, I agree with. A good quarterback rotation. Want to get Darnold some work, and they want to get Bridgewater some work as they're trying to showcase him in a trade.
Yeah, and Paul, you may want to unplug your camera, try to plug it back in. You have frozen, which means it's all me on the screen right now. And this game opened as low as -1-0. But Jets money, some of it's anti-Atlanta money. You look at the Falcons preseason last year, 0-4 straight up, 0-4 against the spread. Dan Quinn didn't exactly make it feel like he cared a lot about August football. And again, this is a team with a great offense. They scored a grand total of 54 points in their 4 exhibition games. Although it's worth noting, they were chalk in 3 of the 4, and 2 of the 4 losses came by double digits. Of course, it looks as if all 4 of Atlanta's quarterbacks are going to see action tonight. Matt Ryan, followed by Matt Schaub, Garrett Grayson, and the rookie, the undrafted rookie, Kurt Benkert, going to get PT for the Falcons. For the Jets side of the equation, Todd Bowles hasn't tipped his hand in regards to how he plans to divide the playing time between his 3 QBs, but certainly the betting markets like the 3 quarterbacks, Josh McCown, Teddy Bridgewater, and Sam Darnold. Quote, "In my head, I have a plan, but I haven't met with the coaches. We're going to meet the next couple of days, discuss it, and go from there." And that being said, when you look at that QB rotation, Teddy Bridgewater is a guy that has people's attention, most assuredly. Josh McCown should come in at least for a cup of coffee in this game. And Bridgewater in particular, he's excited to get on film, to be back taking hits. It's a guy that hasn't seen the field in a long, long time. But before we get too excited about the Jets QB rotation, before we get too excited about the fact that it's been nothing but Jets money, here's a quote from Todd Bowles about what New York's going to do on their offensive line tonight. "We're moving a lot of guys that are back there. Harrison, we're moving around. Braden, we're moving around. Dozier, we're moving around. So it's good at this time of year to alternate these guys and see what they can and can't do. If you're not a starter, it's pretty much the more you can do." The thought process, they're going to play mix and match on the offensive line, and that's an issue when you have Sam Darnold, a rookie QB, expected to play extended stretches of this ballgame. He's probably going to play the second half against Atlanta. I worry about the Jets' offensive line. I will not be laying the price with New York tonight, despite the Falcons' struggles. We got Pauly back, or are we still me? That's no Pauly, so it's still me. Graphic. All right. Raiders, 3-37 against the Lions. Everyone's in love with John Gruden. 8-0 in the preseason. Unfrozen caveman lawyer, made everybody money years ago. That being said, what I'm liking that I'm reading is coming from the Detroit sidelines. And certainly, the quotes, they look very different than they did under Jim Caldwell. More physical, tougher. That's the goal. Here's the guard, TJ Lang, talking about what Detroit wants to accomplish in the preseason opener. Quote, "Obviously, we try not to talk about what went on last year. We got different coaches. We got different personnel, taking it day by day, but working hard. And I think you're definitely seeing an emphasis being put on the run game and being put on physicality this year. And I think that's something that obviously we hope to take a big step forward going into the year." The Lions spent the entire offseason basically addressing positions that feed into the "we're going to be big and physical and tough," like Garrett Blunt. Certainly, big linebackers coming in free agency, bringing in guys like Frank Ragnow and Kerryon Johnson in the draft. All Detroit has done is emphasize physicality, and I'm not convinced that Oakland is 100% going to be able to handle that. The quote from Matthew Stafford, "Get out there, communicate, make sure everybody's on the same page, because at the end of the day on offense, if everyone's communicating on the same page, you're going to have a chance to be successful." Now, we know that Gruden had a strong ATS record, but in his previous stint in Oakland, obviously this time around, things are different. And Gruden's quote here, "You go into the preseason game, the number 1 preseason game Friday night, and you're not going to play your starters. So I haven't read any good reports about the Raiders' offensive line. They have tackle issues, problems tonight at both tackle spots. Everyone likes the Raiders' QB rotation. When you talk about guys like Connor Cook and E.J. Manuel coming off the bench, veterans, both of whom have a little bit of scramble ability. But I worry about Oakland's offensive line. I worry about it a lot. We'll get back to this game when it comes to play of the day time. Broncos and the Vikings set up for Saturday night. Talked about the 2 Friday night games. Let's talk about the 2 Saturday night games. Broncos pick and 35 against Minnesota. And look, we talked about Gruden going 8-0 in the preseason. Mike Zimmer, 14-3 straight up in the month of August, 4 seasons at the job. He's had 2 undefeated preseasons in those 4 years. And we look at Minnesota. This is a team with 19 starters returning. And the 3 they lost, well, they upgraded from Case Keenum, Joe Berger, Tom Johnson, not exactly the key players on that roster. Minnesota's flat out loaded. And that's my biggest concern about the Vikings for this contest, even with Zimmer's previous track record. The fact they're loaded, what do they have to prove? They don't have the whole lot to prove at all. Now, certainly Zimmer's a guy that wants to see good execution from his third stringers. There's not a lot of roster spots on Minnesota this year to be had for the guys trying to make the roster. And look, it's kind of a fun QB battle in this ballgame because we've got Cousins going to be starting for Minnesota, obviously. After Cousins come 2 guys who were with Denver last year. Kyle Slaughter was great in the preseason. He was a monster in the preseason. And of course, Trevor Siemian, who was their starter / backup / whatever during the regular season. Meanwhile, for Denver, their QB's Case Keenum as the starter, who was the starter for Minnesota last year. There's an enormous amount of familiarity between the QBs for the opposing teams they're going to face. Vikings, Cousins, Siemian, Slaughter, and Pujols have the chance to get in the game tonight. For the Broncos, or on Saturday night, I should say, Keenum, Lynch, and Chad Kelly. Paxton Lynch has been doing his best to lose the second string job as much as he did his best to lose the first string job. I've not been impressed with the reports I've been reading from Denver's backup QB play. Vance Joseph, quote, "We're not close yet. That's what training camp is for. That's what games in the preseason are for, to kind of find out your formula to win games. I think defensively, we're built to play with a lead. We have a great pass rushers we can cover on the outside, and we have great pressure packages. So that's one part I'm going to strive to be, playing with the lead. We got 4 more weeks to figure that out. We've got some new schemes going in on both sides of the ball, so time will tell with that. Minnesota likely to have a similar game plan. First string offense going to be in for a cup of coffee or 2, 1 or 2 drives. That being said, Zimmer's track record, very, very good. This feels like a pick'em game. I really have no strong opinion. Minnesota and Zimmer certainly have an edge when it comes to the previous success in August. Maybe they have an edge with the former Broncos backup QBs playing against their former team. I don't know if that's enough to get to the betting window with me for Minnesota. Like I said, this game priced. All you got to do is pick the winner. One more game to talk about for Saturday night. That's Arizona and LA, the Cardinals and the Chargers. Arizona minus 2.5, 36.5, the current numbers as we speak. And look, talk about the Chargers QB rotation. Phillip Rivers, Geno Smith, Chandler Jones. That's not a bad 1, 2, 3. And of course, the Chargers have a legit competition for the backup QB job between Geno and Chandler, the former Ohio State great, the former Ohio State national title winner. Let's put it that way. Look what happened last night in Carolina, Buffalo, right? It wasn't the starting QB that made the difference. The starting QB battle in Buffalo, it was the backup QB battle in Carolina. The Chargers have that backup QB battle with Smith and Jones, a couple of vets, can potentially make some plays. And look, for Arizona, we're going to see lots of Josh Rosen. Bradford and Glennon, I'm not sure. Steve Wilkes hasn't said how much they're going to play. They may get a cup of coffee. They may get a little bit. But I would expect to see a fair bit of Josh Rosen. He's going to get some snaps with the first string. He's going to get some snaps with the second string, quote, I think it's going really well. I think I progressed every day. I think I've gotten better pretty much every day since I've gotten here. I've gotten a ton of help from the quarterback's room. All the quarterbacks, my quarterback's coach, Byron Leftwich, offense coordinator, coach, Mike McCoy, coach, Steve Wilkes. I think regardless of where I'm at, I've just progressed, which is a good feeling. That being said, Wilkes, a little bit concerned about his own jitters in his head coaching debut. Basically, he's saying, I'm kind of concerned that I'm going to mess it up. I've been going through a lot of different scenarios, look at different things throughout the league over the last couple of years, like 2 minutes situations, timeouts, time on the clock. Those are some of the things we've been working through this spring and some of the things we did this morning. Will there be some nerves? Probably. So Arizona's head coach, a little bit worried about his debut. Frankly, I don't blame him. Like the show? Help us keep the lights on. Please make sure to comment, share, and subscribe to all the Sportsbook Review videos. Thanks so much. Best of luck. Enjoy the game.